big match tonight, Luton against West Ham. We'll get to that in the fullness of time. That is a talkSPORT exclusive. But on Sunday, Arsenal, Martin, host Manchester United. That is at 4:30. One wonders what to expect going into this one, because a big battle here between two big clubs so early on in the season. I mean, after unconvincing starts, Martin, how much have each of these sides kicked on and progressed in this window regards bridging the gap between themselves and Manchester City?
Well, yeah, that's the order of the day, isn't it? Huge pressure. Arsenal missing out last year, got so close, won the first 2 games, Jim, and then we saw more evidence against Fulham that they're not quite ready yet, conceding an early goal again once more. Playing catch-up in the match, then getting in front. And then, of course, it coming back to haunt them. That is a game they would have desperately needed to win.
Yeah.
Because, obviously, Man City running away as they do, their record, Jim, over the years of successively winning titles, the number of points that they gather, you have to go after them and quickly to stay with them. And Arsenal now faltering a little bit.
Are you watching with interest as to what McElhenney is up to? He's reverted from his back four from last season, dropping Gabriel, starting Thomas Partey at right back. What's going on here? It's become something of a little tinkerman.
Well, maybe. Gabriel's finds himself very unlucky for me not to be in the team. I thought with Saliba they made for a really formidable defensive partnership. So Gabriel not playing, I see that Zinchenko, when he's not available, maybe they look to create the same thing that they do with Partey, midfield player basically playing at right back to begin with and ending up in midfield because they want that extra player to get the numbers in the middle of the pitch.
But is what he's doing working?
But I think just a few times it's not really working. I mean, for the first goal they conceded, Ramsdale's a long way out of his goal. This was last week. And then you've got Partey already committing into midfield, and then that area is exposed. And all that they did really, Fulham, was to run into that area. And they exploited Arsenal. So, Jim, that was a difficult game for Arsenal where, when you think back to last season when key games against Southampton, against, lower league teams in the table where they really made hard work of it.
Yeah.
And that was another missed opportunity.
Somebody copping a bit of flack is Kai Havertz. What have Arsenal signed in Kai Havertz?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, what I would say for those people, those retractors, I think Vieira, who came off the bench, was a completely different animal. He was a player that many had said the previous season wasn't really good enough. Well, he showed when he came off the bench. He perhaps should be playing in front of Havertz. And maybe that's there's going to be some big changes for this game. I think it's
Vieira.
Vieira, yeah. I thought he, at times last year, I didn't think he was quite strong enough. But he gathered a penalty, he created the second goal, and he looked at a different player. But Havertz looks to me at the moment too passive, and you're looking for a little bit more.
If Havertz was the answer, Martin, what was the question?
The question was that they wanted a midfield player that wants to play in a forward-thinking manner. So up to now they've had Xhaka there, who's more defensively minded. So they play with one sort of pivotal defensive midfield player, and then you've got two either side that want to get forward. Sometimes that can leave you a little bit exposed. Sometimes I'm not sure what Havertz is doing defensively. And then you've got Rudiger as the other player on that side. So Arsenal can become, kind of vulnerable to the counter-attack. And without Gabriel at the back, I think that's been a little bit exposed. He's come on, actually, to really good effect away at Crystal Palace. And then he came on in the first game as well to sew things up. But I think maybe now Gabriel comes into the team. I don't think that experiment is really working with Partey at right back. And I think now with Zinchenko available to go to left back,
let's stay with Havertz.
That can happen.
Let's stay with Havertz. Are you, Simon, bewildered, confused about the Havertz signing?
I don't understand it. That's why I was asking Martin if he's the answer. What was the question?
Right.
Because I think all the lessons that you needed to have learned was you didn't have to look very far across London to have seen them. Because I don't think he set the... Okay, yes, he scored the goal that won the Champions League final, and he can dine on that forever and a day in certain people's minds. But they've spent a lot of money on a player that, to me, I don't think was brilliant at Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea could probably believe their luck that they were going to get their money back and book a profit on that potential on that player. And I don't think
he's got work to do.
The Arsenal fans at this moment in time are looking at it going. Now, I don't know whether it's a purchase because of the Champions League participation and the need to look at a way of playing that enables them to be successful in the Champions League.
We're backing the manager.
Yeah,
we're backing the manager. So it's a case of, right, okay, let's see how it pans out. We're pointing at other players that have then turned out well. There's been question marks about some of the signings. But yeah, it does make you wonder. He's got some work to do now to get back into the team. because I didn't really see, let's say for instance in the Community Shield final, I didn't really see the hunger running into channels. I didn't see that kind of pace that you needed, that injection of pace, that fire. And Nketiah then has since subsequently shown he's in the England squad because he's running in those channels, he's scoring goals. So Havertz now has found a berth in midfield, and now really there's competition for places there now. Suddenly, is he going to play there? Does Zinchenko come into that sort of fold into that area and make for a better balance? I think that's Arsenal searching for.
When we get to a player and we're asking about what does he see in Kai Havertz? That question alone.
Yeah, but
sows seeds of doubt as to the boy's ability.
Well, he believes that they can get that quality out, and it's very early days, Jim, to be judging people. So let's see. Let's give him time. But the thing is he going to actually start this game against Manchester United? Who, by the way, have got issues of their own.
But we've seen enough
is going to be a key player.
But we've seen
for them
enough to
forward.
judge Havertz, to talk about him, Martin. We've seen enough in him from the way he played at Chelsea. The very fact that Chelsea were prepared to sell, and the buyer was across London, tells us another story.
Yeah, but
they'll sell to a rival.
It wasn't so long ago that he was in Germany and he was a player that was much coveted, and what people.
Is it going to work out at Arsenal?
Well, let's give it time, Jim. Let's see.
Do you honestly think it will?
I've no idea, Jim. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The boys.
What did you think of the signing initially when it first?
This sounds a little bit like the talking, the quick fire questioning, and when Arteta was in trouble after 3 games
no,
just a couple of years ago.
It's asking somebody that's Arsenal centric because your focus and your devil in the detail will be your view on Arsenal. So you're the ideal person to ask because you're the person in the room that's played the game. So with that in mind, it's got nothing to do with quick fire questioning. It's using your intelligence to understand.
Yeah, but you don't have to be an expert to realise that it was a surprise signature.
That's my point.
It was, but now he's here. It's about giving the player time to settle and to find his role in the team. And at times, I'm just concerned. And of course, if you're going to be drawing games against Fulham, let Paulinho come into that midfield for Fulham. He's now going, of course, we're talking now today.
Well, he wasn't great against Palace either, was he?
No, it was a difficult game for him. They went down to 10 men fairly early. But these are early games, Simon. You've got to give people a chance to bet in.
I know you're right, Martin, that it's early in the proceedings, and you're not wrong in that. It is early in the proceedings. But when you get a player like Havertz, who so many Arsenal fans think is a square peg in a round hole, and why is he here? It begs the question, why is he here? What does Arteta see in him that Pochettino decided to say to Bully and the rest, he can go?
Yeah, and of course, in the backdrop of Pepe being allowed to leave the football club, what do they pay? 77 million for him. The club can't afford to make mistakes. I don't think it is a mistake, Jim. I don't think it's as bad as people are maybe making out, but they want to see more from him. They want to see more hunger from him.
People are asking what it is because no one can see what it is.
Well, he's going to play midfield.
No one's expecting you to sit there and castigate the player. We're trying to get an answer from the intellectual capital in the room that's played the game. And it's obvious the questions are going to be put to you. Because we're looking at Havertz. No, what you're doing is being defensive about the fact that people are criticising his performances. Because ultimately, his performances have followed on from what I think of a tepid time at Chelsea. So Arsenal have dipped in, bought a player that's been tepid at Chelsea for the last 18 months. Chelsea probably couldn't believe their bleeding luck.
Well, I've said
and he's
it's
manifesting the same performance.
It's a surprising signature. But now he's there. Let's see what the manager can get from him. There was people that were not sure about Odegaard when he first went there. He's now the captain of the team.
True.
He'd been at Real Madrid and pretty well couldn't get out of the dressing room. He was there for 7 or 8 years. Played a handful of matches. He's come to Arsenal. He's been a major feature. So let's give it time.
It's a good point you make because quite a lot of people going with your argument here and saying, look, Martin's right. It took Grealish a couple of seasons to bed in at Manchester City. Certain players need time. But we know what Grealish is. We're not that sure what Havertz is.
And there is no time to lose now from an Arsenal point of view, isn't it? There's a huge investment being made, over £200 million this summer, and some more. So the players have got to hit the ground running. And with Havertz coming in with it, I would have expected more, Jim, in these opening games. Let's see what he produces at the weekend. He may find himself on the bench.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.